They say a helping hand can change your life, but what if it takes your place instead? I hired her to make my life easier. I never knew I was inviting my biggest enemy into my home. This is the story of how my own maid stole my husband and almost took over everything I worked for. Stay with me, because what happened next will leave you speechless. My name is Amara, and I used to believe my marriage was strong. I thought my home was safe, but sometimes the person who destroys you is the one you invite in with open arms. I had been married to Chiki for 8 years. He was a respected businessman who built a multi-million naira company from nothing. We had 2 children, Kamsi, 6 years old, and Adaora, just 3. I was balancing my part-time fashion business, taking care of the kids, cleaning the house, cooking meals, and trying to be a good wife. It wasn't easy. Most nights I went to bed exhausted. Some mornings I woke up before the sun just to get everything done. One day I complained to my best friend Ngozi. She told me, "Amara, you can't kill yourself with stress, get a maid." At first I refused. I didn't like the idea of another woman living in my house while my husband was there. But as the stress grew, I finally agreed. That was how Ifeoma came into my life. She was 23 years old, slim, with brown skin and big innocent eyes. She wore a simple dress and slippers, spoke softly, and called me Madam in the sweetest voice. She looked harmless. The first week, she worked like she had been born to serve. She cleaned before I woke up, cooked Cheek's favorite meals without being told, and ironed his shirt so neatly that even he noticed. Whenever Cheeky came home, she greeted him with a big smile and said, "Welcome, sir, your food is ready." I thought it was just respect. Until one night at 1 a.m. I woke up and found Cheeky and Ifeoma sitting together in the living room. She was wearing only a wrapper, tied loosely around her chest. They were laughing at something on the TV like old friends. Cheeky said, "Oh, she couldn't sleep, so I told her to keep me company while I finished this movie." I forced a smile, but inside I felt something shift. Over the next weeks I saw changes. Ifeoma began dressing in tighter clothes at night. She always managed to be in the living room when Cheeky came home. He started praising her cooking and even compared her cheerfulness to mine. One Saturday, I overheard her on the phone in the backyard saying, "Yes, it's working. Very soon I will be in charge of everything." My chest tightened. What did she mean by that? Mikudi. It didn't take long for her boldness to grow. She started making decisions in the house without asking me. When visitors came, she stood beside Cheek instead of behind me. One family friend even mistook her for Cheek's wife, and she didn't correct him. She just laughed softly. Then one Monday morning, Cheeky told me he had given Ifeoma a small job at his company, just to help with errands. Within a week, she was attending meetings, following him to investor dinners and behaving like a business partner. One afternoon I visited the office without telling him. There she was, sitting in my chair beside his desk, flipping through documents like she owned them. That night I found a gold necklace in her room, the same one Cheeky had once tried to give me on our anniversary, which I had refused. Mikudi. The breaking point came when Ngozi sent me a photo. It was Cheeky and Ifeoma in a hotel restaurant, holding hands. She was in a fitted red dress, smiling like she had already won. When I confronted Cheeky, he brushed it off as business and accused me of being suspicious. Days later, I got an email from an unknown address. "If you want proof, come to room 305 tonight." I went. The door was slightly open. Inside, Cheeky sat on the bed in a white vest. Beside him, in a silk nightdress, was Ifeoma, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist. When her eyes met mine, she didn't look shocked. She smiled. Later that night, she whispered to me in the kitchen, "Better pack your things before I throw you out myself." Mikudi. The next morning I called my lawyer, Mr. Okoro. While Ifeoma thought I was sulking, I was gathering proof. I found documents showing small percentages of company shares had been transferred to someone named Okafor, her cousin. I also spoke to loyal staff, who told me she sometimes signed company documents without Cheeky's permission. One night I heard her on the phone saying, "By next month I will be the CEO. This woman doesn't even know what's coming." I knew it was time to act. At the next board meeting, I walked in uninvited. I placed the documents, witness statements and hotel photos on the table. Then I played a voice recording of her bragging about becoming CEO. The board was shocked. Cheeky's face darkened as he turned to her. She tried to lie, but the evidence was too much. The chairman stood and said, "Ifeoma, you are hereby dismissed from any role within this company. Security will escort you out." As she walked past me, she leaned in and hissed, "This isn't over." Mikudi. That night, Chiki tried to talk to me. "Cheek, Amara, I made a mistake." Me. "No, Cheek, you didn't make a mistake. You invited one into our home and called it family." I walked away without looking back. If you are married, guard your home. Guard your heart. Never think betrayal can't come from the one you least expect. Because sometimes, the biggest enemy is the one you welcomed in yourself. Sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones who destroy us from within. But no matter how dark it gets, the truth always finds a way to shine. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true life stories that will keep you thinking long after the video ends.